Got another cancer channel to bitch about. So, be amazed. Channel with 1.6 million subscribers. A video with 4.7 million views. The video is titled Top 10 Tricks Cops Don't Want You to Know. So, okay, it's going to be a top 10 video. Fucking joy. The description says, dealing with cops is going to happen to you at some point or another, even if you haven't broken any laws. Here are some tricks that cops use to increase their chances of pinning something on you, as well as tricks you can use to get yourself out of trouble. Okay, here are some tricks that cops use to increase their chances of pinning something on you. That is some really fucking questionable wording. Yeah, cops are looking for you to fuck up. They're looking for anything they can find that would indicate that you're a criminal. And while I agree that there are cops out there that are just fishing for an excuse to throw your ass in jail, that's not the majority of them. The majority of them are just looking for you breaking the law. And if you're breaking the law, then they go from there. And then the rest, as well as tricks you can use to get yourself out of trouble. Well, okay. I'm interested to see how that's going to work, but I've got a solution to this whole mess. Before we even start the video, I've got a solution. You ready? This is going to blow your fucking mind. Sit down. You don't want to hear this standing up. You're definitely going to want to be sitting down. Don't be a fucking criminal. How about that? Alright, let's get started.
Dealing with law enforcement probably isn't something anybody really wants to do, but it's going to happen to you at some point or another, even if you haven't broken any laws. In this video, we'll tell you about tricks that cops use to increase their chances of pinning something on you, as well as tricks you can use to get yourself out of trouble.
Amazing!
Number 10. Requests are not orders.
No, you're absolutely right. Requests are not orders. If the cop says, "Can I see your license?" that's not a request. As polite as it may sound and as requesting as it may be, if you say no, he's gonna say, "Give me your goddamn driver's license before I beat you with this fucking stick."
Contrary to popular belief, a request made to you by a police officer is not the same thing as an order. For instance, you don't have to fully roll down your window unless you are specifically ordered to do so.
Oh, because, you know, the window will protect you from them if they decide to taser you or something. Fucking idiot. It's just general fucking politeness to roll down a window when somebody's standing outside of it talking at you. If the cop's trying to talk to you and your window is rolled up all but a fucking crack at the top, you're not fucking showing him who's boss. You're being a cunt. And he's gonna treat you like a cunt.
You may also film police officers while they are on duty, which...
Yeah, that's actually true. You can fucking film cops. And it's probably, in some cases, warranted that you should film them. Though you shouldn't be a dick about it, you should do it for your own protection. I'll agree there. There are cops out there that are fucked up. Not many, but there are. And the camera can, in some cases, help you. However, if the cop's really wanting to fuck up your day, he's gonna arrest you anyways, camera or not. He can fucking find a way.
Could serve to prevent any sort of legal shenanigans from taking place, since they'll know that you have the evidence right there in your hand. You also do not have to consent to a search unless the officer has a warrant. You're perfectly within your rights to ask, am I being detained or am I free to go? Number 9.
Yeah. And you're also perfectly within your rights to sound exactly like a sovereign citizen.
Cops casually fish for info. So you've just been pulled over. The officer asked for your license and registration, and you provided it. You should assume that everything that happens after this is them searching for information under the guise of casual conversation so that your guard isn't...
No, you shouldn't assume that. That in many cases is what's going on, but there's no point in assuming anything. So, if the cop says, "Where you headed? Where you coming from?" That's exactly what that is. They're trying to see what your response is, how you respond. Not necessarily the information that you give them is pertinent or relevant. They probably don't care. They're looking for your body language. However, what's wrong with this? This isn't the cops aren't doing anything wrong. They're doing their job.
Anything you say right now could potentially incriminate you and end up being used against you in court.
No. Anything you say right now can potentially incriminate you if you're a fucking criminal. In which case, who gives a fuck if you go to jail?
Even though it just seems like a normal conversation, you should only tell officers what they ask to know, in as short of answers as possible.
Why? You can't just fucking have a conversation with him? You can't, the cop says, where you headed? You can't say, well, I just left the house a little while ago, I'm headed to the gas station, I gotta get some fucking diapers for the kid, I gotta fill the car up, my fucking Mountain Dew's all gone, I ain't got no Mountain Dew. Well, what's wrong with just having a casual conversation? Why do you have to say, to the store? What the fuck's wrong with these people?
This doesn't mean that you have to be rude, only that you should just answer whatever questions they have that actually pertain to the traffic stop itself. You do not have to answer questions about anything else. If they seem to be trying to lead you into conversation about something else, try politely asking what the outcome of your alleged infraction is going to be.
Or don't be a criminal.
Number 8. Cops can legally lie to you. Imagine that an officer has told you that they have your fingerprints or your DNA, and that it implicates or even proves that you were responsible for the crime in question. You shouldn't necessarily believe them. Legally, cops are allowed to straight up lie to you. Country crime labs are notoriously backlogged, so if you've been arrested for a crime that was committed fairly recently, it is
Okay, whoa, what the fuck? Crime labs usually indicate murder. Usually. Not always, but usually. If you're arrested for murder and the cops lie to you, I don't give a fuck. Go to jail. The fuck?
actually unlikely that police have any fingerprints
the dude that came up with the idea for making this movie should get his fucking dick chopped off.
DNA from the scene at all at the time of your interrogation.
Let's help a bunch of lowbrow criminals. That's what we'll do. We'll make a video to help a bunch of fucking criminal retards.
The 6th Federal District Court described the practice of police lying about the possession of DNA evidence in this way: a regrettable but frequent practice of law enforcement that was not unconstitutional. The case People v. Jones in 1998 allows police deception so long as it is not likely to lead to an untruthful confession. Number 7. Cops can administer fake tests. Not only can police...
That's completely within the last one. The fake test is just another form of lying. You're just padding your video now.
Legally lie to you, but they can also use fake tests to try to fool you. In the case People v. Mays in 2009, cops hooked up their suspect to a fake lie detector that they, of course, told the suspect was real. They then asked their questions, and afterwards showed the suspect a fake graph from their fake machine that they said proved that the suspect had lied when answering their questions. The suspect then admitted to having been at the scene of the crime, and the court ruled that this was a voluntary and admissible confession. In a similar case, detectives washed a suspect's hand, and then applied a field kit used for testing if a substance was cocaine or not that changed color. When it changed color, they told the suspect it had done so because they had recently fired a gun with those hands. Number 6.
How is that relevant? If you tested for cocaine powder and it popped positive, who gives a shit if you told him that it's positive for gunpowder? You've already got him on cocaine.
Police confiscate stuff to fund themselves. Civil forfeiture is...
This is actually a real problem. Civil forfeiture is a legitimate concern for everybody. Cops do this. Or I should say, are ordered to do this by the state or by the city. At any rate, it's kind of how the department gets a vast majority of their funding. So I don't think it's necessarily a good thing, but until we come up with a more legitimate way of funding police departments, I think it's probably the only answer they have.
A process whereby the police can take money, cars, and even homes that they suspect are involved in criminal activity. Unlike criminal forfeiture, the owner of said property doesn't even have to be convicted or even charged with a crime in order to permanently lose their property. You then have to get a lawyer and prove that your property wasn't actually involved in criminal activity, or the police can simply keep it as funds for themselves. Obviously, you can...
Funds for themselves? No, funds for the department, to keep the department going. It's not like the cops are fucking taking that shit personally, running off to the fucking casino and gambling up your house.
See how this system encourages civil forfeiture, since everybody likes money. In these sorts of cases, it isn't uncommon for prosecutors to tell you that your case isn't complicated enough to justify you hiring an attorney. Know that it definitely is, and that you need to be on your guard unless you want your property to become part of the police department's budget for next year. Number 5. Ways to hide from cops.
Okay, immediately you should get your fucking face slapped for this shit. First of all, if you're hiding from cops, you're already a criminal. So you're effectively trying to help criminals. Granted, none of the shit you're going to use here works, despite what you have yourself convinced of. But the fact that you want to help people that are willfully breaking the law is ridiculous.
This clip contains what is probably the most important and useful trick on this entire list, so make sure you watch closely so you don't miss any details. As you can see, by simply carrying a relatively small piece of ductwork with you at all times.
Oh my god, at all times? Well, first of all, this trick is not simple. It makes you look like a fucking moron. Second of all, any cop's gonna see through it unless you're incredibly fucking lucky enough to happen to be running past a industrial air condition unit or something. Where the fuck do you keep fucking ducting? Did you just like fold it up and put it in your pocket? You got a bag of holding or something? The fuck?
You can use it as a quick disguise should you ever become engaged in a foot chase with the law.
Yeah, a quick disguise. The cops are gonna run by and say, "Did you see that moron back there? Thought he was a smart person for a minute." You disguise yourself as an idiot.
As long as you're in some sort of urban or industrial area, once you spring your disguise, you should become virtually invisible to the police. Commentators on the video, presumably professional criminals, describe the unique
Presumably professional criminals?
tactic as impressively stealthy and pure genius. Before you have a
God.
go at me for helping criminals, I'd like to remind you that most criminals aren't smart enough to pull this off successfully.
Most criminals aren't dumb enough to try and carry fucking ducting around with them. Most criminals aren't stupid people. They're not necessarily educated people, but they're not fucking stupid. Smart criminals don't get busted. They don't need to carry around fucking ducting. And when they do get busted, I guarantee you it's not because they weren't carrying around duct.
Number 4. Complaints against police officers can be destroyed. Unfortunately, within the police force there is developed a culture of protecting your own, even if it potentially conflicts with protecting the public.
Yeah, there has. That's another problem. I don't think that some of this shit here he's gonna bring up is necessarily factual. There's a lot of questioning that needs to be asked when somebody says hackers leak secret contracts, because that shit's almost never fucking accurate.
When hackers gained access to the largest police union website...
Oh god, he credits Countercurrent News. A fucking well-known website that peddles an absolute misinformation. Nothing they have ever posted has been factual in the history of fucking ever. And that's your fucking credit.
In 2016, they uncovered some fairly disturbing information.
That they're alive. Fucking disturbs me too.
In some places, there are guarantees that make sure that complaints made against officers by members of the public are kept secret, so that they won't affect the officer's career or
literally none of this shit here can be taken seriously simply because of where you sourced it.
reputation. In other cases, the complaints are simply destroyed altogether. When The Guardian did an analysis of Fraternal Order of Police documents, they found that a third of them contained a clause allowing the destruction of records of civilian complaints, departmental investigations, or disciplinary actions after a negotiated period of time.
There's nothing wrong with that after a negotiated period of time. Key fucking clause there. Negotiated period of time. Goddamn.
A third of the documents also barred the public from accessing past records of complaints. All of these rules serve to make it as difficult as possible for complaints made against officers to actually have an impact, meaning that officers who frequently receive complaints could very well end up long outstaying their welcome on the force. Number 3. Stay calm and collected.
But there's some actual good advice.
Neil Franklin, a 33-year law enforcement veteran from the city of Baltimore, wrote an article about his experiences directed at civilians, stating that all civilians should understand how to protect their constitutional rights and make smart decisions when dealing with officers of the law. He said he believes that important information about dealing with police officers has remained largely unavailable to the general public. Although due to recent controversies, it's really needed now more than ever. His number one advice for dealing with police in a positive way was simply to remain as calm as possible.
That's best advice on the fucking video. I've been pulled over dozens of times throughout my life. Most of the time it was from speeding or just random pullovers. Many times I have been doing something not officially legal. For instance, speeding or driving without insurance. I'll get to insurance in a second. Anytime I've ever been pulled over, I either was pulled over not doing anything wrong, still pulled over, still talked to the cop like he's a normal fucking human being, still acted and behaved as a normal person, no problems, never went to jail. Got pulled over for speeding numerous times. I knew I fucked up. The cop pulled me over. He says, "You know why I pulled you over?" I said, "Yeah, because I was speeding." He says, "Yep." He writes me my ticket. Fucking into the story. I've been pulled over for no insurance. And, well, I've been caught with no insurance while I was pulled over. And I went through a long period of time where I deemed insurance unimportant, not necessary, and an actual scam. Because the few times I've had to deal with insurance, I paid my money, and when it came time for them to pay me, they bailed. So, to me, insurance has been and probably always will be a scam. However, it's a fucking legal issue. You've got to have it in most, if not every state. So, if you don't have it, and you get pulled over, expect to get a ticket. Don't be a cunt. Just get your fucking ticket and go on.
Having a bad attitude makes it far more likely that the situation is going to have a bad outcome.
Damn right.
Similarly, he stated that it is never a good idea to touch a cop, even if it's in a friendly way or as a joke. But if you are a bit of a nuisance and want to annoy a cop that has just pulled you over for drunk driving when you haven't consumed any alcohol, then why not keep a spare beer in your glove pocket and crack one open with your seatbelt like this? Okay, I wouldn't actually suggest you do that, but it is strange how well that seatbelt resembles a bottle opener. Number 2. Zip ties that work as snow chains. On a somewhat different note, now that cold weather is approaching, let's remember that driving in snowy conditions can be really inconvenient. Depending on where you are, getting pulled over for not having the proper tire gear is a very real possibility, and then you can pretty much kiss your skiing trip goodbye. You might even be issued a fine which will help fund the cops, but legality aside,
who gives a fuck? If you're doing something illegal and they issue a fine, of course it's going to help fund the city. Not the cops, but the city.
Driving in winter conditions can also just be dangerous, and nobody is a fan of getting into car accidents, even if you're not concerned.
Way to state the obvious.
With the police. Recently, in Truckee, California, cops pulled over a car that they assumed wasn't equipped with proper snow equipment, since they hadn't seen any chains on the tires. To their surprise, what the driver did have was zip ties strapped all over his tires. While they of course initially assumed that this was simply ridiculous, in reality, they were a legitimate product called the Zip Grip Go.
Yeah.
These plastic zip ties are designed to be a replacement for snow chains, and are only about 1/10 of the cost. Make sure to check your local laws to see if this drastically cheaper alternative is legal in your area. If you made it this far, I'm going to bet you enjoyed this video.
No.
So why not subscribe?
You'd be betting wrong.
We upload amazing, fact-filled list videos daily. Also,
let me translate that for you. We upload filth.
Make sure to click that bell icon to stay updated, or you'll regret missing out on some amazing knowledge that could have filled your brain.
I don't regret shit.
Now let's get back to it. Number 1. Obeying the law. At the end of the day, the best way to avoid getting into problems with law enforcement is simply to not commit any crimes. Then you should be fine, right? Well, maybe not entirely. You've probably heard rumors about the end of the month being the most dangerous time to drive because cops have ticket quotas that they need to fill and are looking for any sort of an excuse they can get to hand some out before.
I have known a couple cops. My grandfather and my grandmother were both police officers. There is no fucking ticket quota. I don't know what the deal is, why people do this. But people tend to be more reckless towards the end of the month. More people speed, more people drink and drive. It just happens. Maybe it's got something to do with pay. Maybe it's got something to do with the fucking moon. I don't fucking know. But there is no such thing as a ticket quota. At least nowhere in any of the jurisdictions where people I have known were police officers. Also, this isn't... These are fucking military police. Hampton Roads, Virginia, U.S. Navy. Okay, so sidetracked there. So the whole ticket quota thing is ridiculous. At least it is as far as I'm aware. If there is some other city somewhere out there that does have a ticket quota, fine. Call me crazy. Maybe I'm a liar. But any of the cops that I know personally have never had a fucking ticket quota. It's just a thing that happens. People act like dickheads the further along you go into the month.
The deadline. Officially, ticket quotas are illegal and do not exist. Unofficially, there are numerous confessions from officers that there is pressure within departments to reach a certain level of performance.
Yeah, there is. There is absolutely pressure for them to reach a certain level of performance. You see that in any job. Cops are expected to get out there and make fucking arrests. That's their job. Fuck. When you have a city, let's say you're a mayor or a governor or something. Let's say you're over a city, a police chief, for example, and your responsibility is to keep the people of that city safe. To do so, you have to make the people that don't want people to be safe go away. How do you make them go away? You arrest them. You send your police out and you make them do their fucking job, and you punish them when they don't. So if you know there's crime going on and all your cops come back at the end of the day and they haven't made any arrests, do you pay them? No. You don't fucking pay them. You make them go and do their job.
It's a way to give the public and the people in charge a tangible statistic about just how clean they're keeping the streets. And let's face it, tickets are money. And whenever there's money involved, you can bet there's a load of people being mischievous. Knowing you're right.
Well, you just assume. Now, it's often cases that's accurate. But you're just assuming. You're blanket statementing. Is that even a word? Blanket state? Whatever.
It's when dealing with law enforcement is an important part of what it means to live in a free country. Also worth noting is that not committing crimes is an important part of being a free person and not ending up in jail.
Exactly.
Most importantly, never leave your house without a sufficient length of ductwork so that you can quickly disguise yourself and disappear into the terrain. Let me know what you think about these
What the fuck?
tricks in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave it a like and click that bell icon to be notified next time we post a new video. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass. Alright, that's it. Just don't be a fucking criminal. Cops pull you over, don't be a cunt. Don't break the law and don't be a cunt. This video could be summarized in like 2 fucking short ass sentences. Don't break the law and don't be a cunt. The end. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Peace, fuckers.
Hey, this is Jesus, up in heaven. Just wanted to pop in and remind you to subscribe to Derp's channel. Well, what are you waiting for? Do it. Jesus out.